That has to change. Our tax code shouldn't give an advantage to companies with the best connected lobbyists. It should give an advantage to companies that invest in the United States of America and create jobs in the United States of America. And we can lower the corporate rate if we get rid of all these special deals. So I am ready, I am eager, to work with Democrats and Republicans to reform the tax code to make it simpler. Make it fairer, and make America more competitive. But any reform plan will have to raise revenue to help close our deficit. That has to be part of the formula. And any reform should follow another simple principle. Middle-class families shouldn't pay higher taxes than millionaires and billionaires. That's pretty straightforward. It's hard to argue against that. Warren Buffett's secretary shouldn't pay a higher tax rate than Warren Buffett. There is no justification for it. It is wrong that in the United States of America, a teacher, or a nurse or a construction worker who earns $50 should pay higher tax rates than somebody pulling in $50 million. Anybody who says we can't change the tax code to correct that, anyone who has signed some pledge to protect every single tax loophole so long as they live, they should be called out. They should have to defend that unfairness, explain why somebody who's making $50 million a year in the financial markets should be paying 15% on their taxes. When a teacher making $50,000 a year is paying more than that, paying a higher rate. They ought to have to answer for it. And if they're pledged to keep that kind of unfairness in place, they should remember. The last time I checked, the only pledge that really matters is the pledge we take to uphold the Constitution. Now, we're already hearing the usual defenders of these kinds of loopholes saying this is just class warfare. I reject the idea that asking a hedge fund manager to pay the same tax rate as a plumber or a teacher is class warfare. I think it's just the right thing to do. I believe the American middle class, who've been pressured relentlessly for decades, believe it's time that they were fought for as hard as the lobbyists and some. Lawmakers have fought to protect special treatment for billionaires and big corporations. Nobody wants to punish success in America. What's great about this country is our belief that anyone can make it and everybody should be able to. Try the idea that any one of us can open a business or have an idea and make us millionaires or billionaires. This is the land of opportunity. That's great. All I'm saying is that those who have done well, including me, should pay our fair share in taxes to contribute to the nation that made our success possible. We shouldn't get a better deal than ordinary families get. And I think most wealthy Americans would agree if they knew this would. Help us grow the economy and deal with the debt that threatens our future. It comes down to this: we have to prioritize. Both parties agree that we need to reduce the deficit by the same amount, by $4 trillion. So what choices are we going to make to reach that goal? Either we ask the wealthiest Americans to pay their fair share in taxes. Or we're going to have to ask seniors to pay more for Medicare. We can't afford to do both. Either we got education and medical research, or we've got to reform the tax code so that the most profitable corporations have to give up tax loopholes that other companies don't get. We can't afford to do both. This is not class warfare. It's math. The money is going to have to come from someplace. And if we're not willing to ask those who've done extraordinarily well to help America close the deficit, and we are trying to reach that same target of $4 trillion, then the logic the math says everybody else has to do a whole lot more. We've got to put the entire burden on the middle class and the poor. We've got to scale back on the investments that have always helped our economy grow. We've got to settle for second-rate roads and second-rate bridges and second-rate airports. And schools that are crumbling. That's unacceptable to me. That's unacceptable to the American people. And it will not happen on my watch. I will not support. I will not support any plan that puts all the burden for closing our deficit on ordinary Americans. And I will veto any bill that changes benefits for those who rely on Medicare but does not raise serious revenues by asking the wealthiest Americans or biggest corporations to pay their fair share. We are not going to have a one-sided deal that hurts the folks who are most vulnerable. None of the changes I'm proposing are easy or politically convenient. It's always more popular to promise the moon and leave the bill for after the next election or the election after that. That's been true since our founding. George Washington grappled with this problem. He said, towards the payment of debts, there must be revenue, that to have revenue there must be taxes. And no taxes can be devised which are not more or less inconvenient and unpleasant. He understood that dealing with the debt is, these are his words, always a choice of difficulties. But he also knew that public servants weren't elected to do what was easy. They weren't elected to do what was politically advantageous. It's our responsibility to put country before party. It's our responsibility to do what's right for the future. And that's what this debate is about. It's not about numbers on a ledger, it's not about figures on a spreadsheet. It's about the economic future of this country. And it's about whether we will do what it takes to create jobs and growth and opportunity while facing up to the legacy of debt that threatens everything we've built over generations. And it's also about fairness. It's about whether we are, in fact, in this together. And we're looking out for one another. We know what's right. It's time to do what's right. Thank you very much. Barack Obama. Awarding the Medal of Honor to Staff Sergeant Salvatore A. Junta. Delivered November 16, 2010, East Room, the White House. Good afternoon, everybody. Please be seated. On behalf of Michelle and myself, welcome to the White House. Thank you, Chaplain Carver, for that beautiful invocation. Of all the privileges that come with serving as President of the United States, I have none greater than serving as Commander-in-Chief of the finest military that the world has ever known. And of all the military decorations that a president and a nation can bestow, there is none higher than the Medal of Honor. Today is particularly special. Since the end of the Vietnam War, the Medal of Honor has been awarded 9 times for conspicuous gallantry in an ongoing or recent conflict. Sadly, our nation has been unable to present this decoration to the recipients themselves. Because each gave his life his last full measure of devotion for our country. Indeed, as President, I have presented the Medal of Honor 3 times, and each time to the families of a fallen hero. Today, therefore, marks the first time in nearly 40 years that the recipient of the Medal of Honor for an ongoing conflict has been able to come to the White House and accept this recognition in person. It is my privilege to present our nation's highest military decoration, the Medal of Honor. To a soldier as humble as he is heroic, Staff Sergeant Salvatore A. Junta. Now, I'm going to go off script here for a second and just say I really like this guy. I think anybody we all just get a sense of people and who they are, and when you meet Sal and you meet his family. You are just absolutely convinced that this is what America is all about. And it just makes you proud. And so this is a joyous occasion for me, something that I have been looking forward to. The Medal of Honor reflects the gratitude of an entire nation. So we are also joined here today by several members of Congress. Including both senators and several representatives from Staff Sergeant Junta's home state of Iowa. We are also joined by leaders from across my administration and the Department of Defense. Including the Secretary of Defense, Robert Gates, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen. Where's Mike? There he is. Right there. Army Secretary John McHugh, and Chief of Staff of the Army, General George Casey. We are especially honored to be joined by Staff Sergeant Junta's fellow soldiers. His teammates and brothers from Battle Company, 2D of the 503D of the 173D Airborne Brigade. And several members of that rarest of fraternities that now welcomes him into its ranks, the Medal of Honor Society. Please give them a big round of applause. We also welcome the friends and family who made Staff Sergeant Junta into the man that he is. Including his lovely wife, Jenny, and his parents, Stephen and Rosemary, as well as his siblings, who are here. It was his mother, after all, who apparently taught him as a young boy in Small town Iowa. How to remove the screen from his bedroom window in case of fire.